I hope by now you are aware that this virus is attacking our body completely, and that includes our minds, our emotions, every bit as it does any other organ and system in the body. Healthcare workers, especially the ones on the front lines, they're feeling this more than most. Distress calls are up. We see it in the data. People are being killed from the mental and emotional toll. It just happened to one of our heroes this past Sunday, Dr. Lorna Breen. Now, the doctor treated COVID patients at New York Presbyterian Hospital. By all accounts, she was well respected, and by all accounts, she stepped up with the best during the worst of this. She even contracted COVID herself, dealt with it. As soon as she was better, she went back to work. And then, after all she did for others, Sunday, she died by suicide. Her father says she was killed by the enemy on the front lines. And I'm sad to say, he's right. He is a retired surgeon. His name is Dr. Philip Breen, and he joins us now. Doctor, can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes, indeed, I can. I can hear you very well. Thank you.
Doctor, I am very sorry to meet you under these circumstances, and I hope you accept not just my condolences, but my thanks for your daughter in the city where I and so many other millions live, for doing the work of keeping so many safe, especially when it came at such a cost to her and to you, her family. Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome.
What do people need to know about who your daughter was and what she was about?
Well, she was a doctor, every bit of the word that a doctor should be. She put her life on the line to take care of other people. She was in the trenches, so to speak, right in the front line as people were dying left and right around her. And indeed, as you pointed out, she contracted the virus herself, went home sick, had it proven that she did have the virus, and indeed stayed home for just a little more than a week, which I don't think was enough in hindsight. But I think she felt an overwhelming sense of wanting to help her colleagues and her friends who were still fighting the good fight. And so she strapped on her harness and took the bit in her mouth, and she went back. And I talked to her just before her final 12-hour shift. And during the time she was on that shift, she basically went down in the traces like a horse that had pulled too heavy a load and couldn't go a step further and just went down. And so she went down. She was retrieved and brought back by her family to Charlottesville, Virginia, where she was hospitalized for a brief period of time, judged well enough to be out on her own, but clearly was not better. And her sisters told me that you could see in her eyes that there was something not there. But at any rate, as of Sunday, she took her own life because I think she was tired. And she was the kind of person that somebody has very aptly put it. She was like the fireman who runs into the burning building to save another life and doesn't regard anything about herself. So she has paid the
Now,
price, and she has been in the trenches.
Doctor, I can't imagine what it's like for you to have to talk through this about your own child. But at least you have the legacy of her commitment, following in your footsteps and creating her own path. And just so people understand, before this experience, was the doctor struggling with anything that was
No,
known
no,
to you
not
or
at
the
all.
family?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, we've talked about it quite a bit before and during, and we have reviewed the other members of the family and concluded that if we ever were trying to prognosticate about who would be solid, Lorna would have been the very last person to have lost her equilibrium, so to speak. She had not one scintilla of any emotional or problem of stress or anything. She was a very outgoing person. She was a snowboarder. She played the cello in one of the orchestras in town. She volunteered at a nursing home. She was a salsa dancer. She just did everything. And everybody thought she was really neat, including me. But when she went, she just ran out of steam completely. And like I say, in my mind, it's sort of like a horse trying to pull a heavy load, and she was beaten to the point where she went right down on her knees, right between the reins, and with the bit in her mouth, and died from the trying to help.
Well, of course, you understand all this because you are a clinician, you are a doctor. But a virus like this, first of all, there's huge unknown. We don't understand how it affects the body. But the idea that it would affect your emotions and how you feel and your mental health, as well as it would your physical health, makes complete sense. But we're just not focused on it. What do you make of that?
Well, here's what I make of that. The point is that the majority of patients who are dying of pulmonary death. They're basically drowning because their lungs are filled with fluid, and a lot of play has been put on that. But increasingly in the literature, and I think when this is all said and done, there's going to be a gathering publication evidence that this virus affects a person's mind as well as their physical being, like their lungs, and that has worked on the brains of people who have been sick without us even identifying it to begin with. And Lorna would be an example of somebody who is a poster child for proving that this virus is indeed working on people's minds and psychological equilibrium and really working great havoc. But this remains to come into the literature as time goes on. It hasn't really gotten prevalent right now.
Doctor, I must say, I really admire your courage and your poise. I know you've seen a lot. I know you're a surgeon, and I also know it's different when it's your own family. So, once again, just let me say, I'm not going to belabor this. But your daughter, by all accounts, was not just beautiful inside and out, but she lived a beautiful life. And I
She
just
did.
hope you can accept the thanks of people like me and so many whom she helped in this city during a time of really profound need. And I hope that is her legacy in a young but very full life. Doctor, I am so
Thank you.
sorry for your loss.
Thank you very much. I'd be remiss by not pointing out that even as we speak, there are thousands of people just like her in the front lines doing physical battle with the enemy and getting no recognition, no reward, no nothing for it. So my hat goes off to all these people who are doing their best to do a good job and to take care of their fellow man without question about what they're doing to themselves.
Well, it's very magnanimous of you to want others included at a time of your own personal loss, and you are, of course, correct. And there are also too many who suffer in silence about the mental and emotional effects of this virus and other illnesses. And we will make sure that we talk about it much more than we have already. Dr. Breen, please extend my condolences to the family and let me know if there's anything we can do.
Very kind of you to say so, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And listen, let's just start right now, okay? People are suffering in silence. The doctor is, of course, right. We're not given enough credit nor support to the people who are fighting this battle for us most acutely. But I want to remind you, if you're taking the toll because of the virus or just because of the experience that we're all living through, it's so traumatic in so many different ways. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is always there. 1 800 273 TALK. 1 800 273 TALK. That's 1 800 273 8255. Once again, tonight I'll put it out on social media. And look, don't roll your eyes. Don't roll your eyes. It's as real as any manifestation of illness. Mind, body, spirit. It is all vulnerable.